As we think about our common life and moving from generation to generation, our junior warden, Strother Murray-Ndinga, is going to offer us a reflection about why she and her family are committed to funding the mission and ministry of the parish.
Good morning, everyone. When I ran for vestry earlier this year, I wrote that I was called by grace to give back to the church community that gives us so much, for the benefits of generations to come. By grace is the key here, because stewardship is not a reimbursement scheme, and because we could never in multiple generations repay the blessings bestowed on our family here at the Chapel of the Cross. My mother, Rilla, also a parishioner, and I spent my early childhood here in Chapel Hill. And we moved back out of order, me in 2021 and she in 2023, respectively. We each found our church home here, and this parish has not only welcomed my intergenerational family, but sustained us through a terrible loss last year. Some in our denomination speak of being cradle Episcopalians. We heard Mother Mary Cat allude to that also, and we'll hear this season from parishioners who have grown up in this particular church. Folks may even talk, as Mary Cat did, about the trajectory of pastoral care and sacraments being from cradle to grave, or from baptism to burial. In our short time here so far, like my mom's and my moves out of order, my family's experience of those sacraments has also been somewhat out of order. On any given Sunday, you might see me or my mother, sometimes my well-dressed husband, with one or both of our two teenage daughters, one of whom is acolyting a lot this month, and our youngest son, Exose. You may not know that they had an older brother, Dolis. And when our son Dolis died last year, less than a week after he turned 21, of what we now know to be fentanyl poisoning, my first call was to Ellen Cole. At the same time, I asked my mother to email Father Keith Esposito. And even though Dolis had never set foot in the Chapel of the Cross in life, from that initial outreach, clergy and church staff and former clergy and loving parishioners embraced his memory and enveloped us in care. Parishioners I knew from regular Zoom meetings showed up in real life, bearing barbecue and fresh bread and Atlantic Beach pie, making phone calls on our behalf and taking on the most daunting tasks. Father Keith accompanied us in our grief and helped us plan the most beautiful, stately funeral we never expected to attend. This community helped us lay our Dolis to rest with dignity right down Franklin Street at the Chapel Hill Memorial Cemetery. And upon our return from the cemetery, the Funeral Guild welcomed and fed our extended Congolese family and friends like family with cucumber sandwiches and cheese straws and a lot of group pictures. This church showed up for us when we lost our son and has continued to walk alongside us in what many of you know to be non-linear grief. As incredibly moved as I was by this church's response to our loss, I've learned since then, as unfortunately several dozen families this year alone have learned, that ministering to those who mourn is one of the things the Chapel of the Cross does best. So last year we buried our adult son. This All Saints' Day, we will baptize our 3 younger children. They are old enough to appreciate and serve the community that is already welcoming them and will continue to shepherd them in their lives in Christ. My husband Sergei and I are deeply, deeply grateful for all the ways in which the Chapel of the Cross constitutes a village to help us raise these children through Sunday school, vacation church camp, EYC, and youth inquirers. We invite you to join us in pledging early, cheerfully, joyfully, generously to this year's annual campaign. And I pray that with our collective gifts to the annual campaign, the Chapel of the Cross will continue its legacy of welcoming and ministering to all, from the cradle to the grave, from generation to generation.